Dan Illman, Mike Beer for Kentucky Derby Prep Recap, taking a peek back at the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. Essential Quality, looking to make it a perfect 5 for 5 as he heads into the Kentucky Derby, and he did so. We break from the gate. This is a 2-horse race from the start, highly motivated. In his second start as a 3-year-old, stretching out for the first time, he's going to show speed as expected, and Essential Quality, utilizing one of his greatest assets, his tactical speed, is not going to let him get too far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you really have to like about essential Quality, Dan. I mean, you can just do this with him. He did this. This is exactly what he did in his first grade one as a 2-year-old, where there wasn't much pace, so he just went with the leaders. In the Breeders' Cup, the pace was fast. They took him back. He still ran. In this race, he knew who he had to beat. He knew Highly Motivated was going for the lead. He sits right in his hip pocket.
I love the ride that Florent Giroux gave Rombauer. This is a horse that had not shown any sort of tactical speed in his races, came from far out of it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, came from far out of it in his seasonal debut in the El Camino Real Derby. Giroux knew the pace was slow. He got Rombauer right into the pocket.
I agree with you, Dan. He put this horse right up close to the pace. This is where you had to be if you wanted to try to be effective in here. Ultimately, Rombauer is not going to be any match for the 1-2 finishers in here, but he stays on pretty gamely through the stretch. And you know what? They go to Kentucky and catch a bigger pace. I know that that's a big question because there's never a pace in the Derby anymore, but if he catches one, he'll run.
Keep Me in Mind on the outside, briefly tried to get into it, but right now the 2 horses up top are getting away from the field. Highly Motivated is kicking on for home. Essential Quality is right on his hip, and they're going to throw it down. The final quarter mile, you have to give credit to Highly Motivated. He really showed a lot of moxie. He really is able to parry the first thrust from Essential Quality, and really parries the second thrust from Essential Quality. But Essential Quality showed a lot of heart in this race, and maybe that was one of the questions coming in. He'd been brilliant. His races were easy. He cracks Highly Motivated late.
Yeah, Highly Motivated, you saw it right there. About the 16th pull, he jumped to his wrong lead, and then he just kind of stopped finding a little bit. Essential Quality eventually wore him down. Listen, these 2 horses, they're both very good, and they were the 2 best horses in the race anyway. But they also had all the best of it, Dan. This race was very slow early. It was very fast late, and these 2 basically sprinted through the stretch. Good performance from Highly Motivated, just not quite good enough to hold off the favorite.
Do you have distance concerns with Highly Motivated? He ran just fine in this race, but running in the Derby, now he's got to go a mile and a quarter. When you saw him hop back to his left lead, was that a sign this is a horse getting tired at 9?
Yeah, I think that's how I'm kind of looking at it, especially when you consider how slow this early pace was. I still like him a lot as a horse, Dan. I think he's really good. I'll question how far he really wants to go.
Let's talk about some of the also-rans in here. The biggest dud was Untreated for the Pletcher barn, coming off a maiden win at Tampa Bay. Joel Rosario did some miraculous things at Keeneland. He could not work magic with Untreated. This horse was terrible.
I mean, he never really got involved. If you want to, give him at least a little bit of a defense, first of all, he's very lightly raised. So they were, in some ways, they were just taking a shot with him in here. They took him right in hand from the start of the race, Dan, and rated him basically back to last. You weren't going to win this race from last, but that's not to say he did that much running.
Hidden Stash, who finished 4th, might be a useful sort of second or third tier 3-year-old in the minor derbies later this year. He ended up very, very wide after breaking from the rail on the backstretch, Mike, and chasing this slow pace with that kind of trip. That usually doesn't work out, but he still stayed on for 4th.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, he did save ground early. Then they got him to the outside around the final turn of the race. He ran on okay. He didn't really have a strong finish in here, Dan. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. There's probably a race down the line with his name on it. I don't think it's one of the big ones, though.
Has Keep Me in Mind been completely exposed now? We've seen him twice this year. He hasn't gotten back to his 2-year-old form.
I mean, he really has, and he had a lot to prove coming in. He's another horse. This is the second time now that they've run him in one of these Derby prep races where he just got caught wide all the way around the racetrack. It's certainly not ideal, but, he needs to take a big step forward at some point, and it feels like he's never going to do that.
Let's take a look at the pedigree card for Essential Quality. He has a lovely pedigree. He's by Tappet out of Delightful Quality, an elusive quality mare. He earned a 97 Beyer speed figure for his win in the Bluegrass. That is a career best for Essential Quality, and he's obviously going to be one of, if not the favorite, in the Kentucky Derby. I'm not sure he has such an edge on the figs. As a matter of fact, he doesn't. The Santa Anita Derby winner got a 100 Beyer speed figure, but this is a horse that just seems to have it all. Pedigree, connections, tactical speed, class.
Yeah, I think that what you really like about him are especially the last two things. Dan, he's pretty classy, and you can just do whatever you want with him in a race, and that's a big advantage when it comes to the Derby. Because if they go fast, he's fine, and if they go slow, they'll just do what they did here in the Bluegrass and sit right up close. So you like that about him. He does not. You're right. He does not stand out in this 3-year-old crop. At least to me, he's really good, but he doesn't have that much of an edge for a horse who's going to be a short price.
Let's take a look at the prices for the Bluegrass. We saw a big surprise in the Wood Memorial. No such situation here. Essential Quality, highly motivated. The two chalks run 1-2. Dollar Exacta pays 370. Do you see any sleepers coming out of the Bluegrass, Mike? Any horse that you might want to use underneath? Maybe Rombauer with a return to his preferred running style in a race with a heck of a lot more pace.
He'd be the only one I wouldn't try to talk anybody off of. This race was run exactly how it looked on paper, Dan. The two best horses ran 1-2, and they were well clear of the rest. Rombauer ran fine to be third.
Essential Quality, the 2-year-old champion of 2020. What a resume at Keeneland alone. Winner of the Breeders' Futurity, winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and now the winner of the prestigious Bluegrass. He's going to the Derby, and he'll likely be the favorite.